I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. And I'd like to ask everyone to stand, remove the hat if any, and let's do our allegiance to our flag. Ready? Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give people a few minutes to find their seat, and then we'll start the meeting. Okay, well, as you all know, this is a workshop, a little different than a board meeting. It still follows the board meeting rules, but it is a workshop for us board members in the middle of the month to get together with the community and talk about issues that are pertinent. And in this case, we all know it's rule number 11.9.23. So that is our specific topic tonight, and I want to stress to everyone that that is the topic that I want to hear about, and that pertains to slalom skiing having priority on the course. All your comments will be taken under advisement by the board. We want to hear what you have to say, what new thoughts and new ideas you have. That may be something we didn't consider. So we get a better perspective of what the needs are out there in the community and on the water. If you'd like to speak tonight, we ask that you fill out a form. Amanda has those forms out there where you check in, fill out the form, turn them into Harmony, and we will call on you in no particular order. If those that are at home on Zoom, you need to raise your hand virtually so Harmony can acknowledge you, and we'll hear your comments as well. We do need your name, track, and lot. This is a meeting for members, so property owners, with your track and lot, we need that information. You'll have 3 minutes to talk. That is going to be strictly upheld, and I'll apologize now for cutting anybody off, and I'll try to give you time to finish your thought, but we can't exceed that 3 minutes very much in respect for the other people that are here. I already mentioned that we want your new thoughts and new ideas. These meetings tend to bring out people who want to re-say what the previous person said or what's been said earlier in the evening. And while that's maybe good and on your mind, just know that we've heard that and we don't need to hear it 3, 4, 5 times. So please try to bring us new ideas, new thoughts, and that'll be really, really helpful. Our board responses will be limited. We're not in a position to engage with you in a discussion or conversation, but we will possibly respond with a short response for clarification, where we may actually ask you a question for clarification. So just want everyone to be sure that they understand that. A little bit of background so everyone understands. We as a board actually understand quite a bit about the situation and about wake skiing, wake surfing, and slalom skiing. We know that the slalom skiing history in Canyon Lake has a rich history of over 50 years. We also know that there's many new water sports in the community, and a lot of them are growing rapidly, and we understand that. We know that there's national champions in multiple sports, and it's quite well known in the country, our Canyon Lake facility and the people that ski here. So we're aware of that. And the thing is that we know that all the different sports use the water differently. They have different needs. So we understand and we'll accept that. So our goal here is to try to find common ground and try to accommodate everyone fairly. And you can imagine we have a pretty good task ahead of us. So with that, I will open the floor and ask Harmony to call the first person.
Okay, just want to remind everyone that's at home on Zoom to raise your virtual hand, and if you have any questions on how to do that, it's on our website. So why don't we start with our Zoom? We only have one hand raised right now. Chuck Moreno. Let me allow you to unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening.
Just ask, we're having a little trouble hearing Harmony up here. Are you folks hearing Harmony?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know.
Can anybody hear me?
I'll email James, I'll try to speak louder for now. We'll try to troubleshoot, Joe.
Yeah, your audio is terrible. It sounds like you guys are talking in a tin can.
All right, we're gonna work on it, but can we let Chuck go for now?
I hear you somewhere.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck Moreno, say your name and target lot, please.
Okay, I'm here representing all the fishermen of Canyon Lake. Okay, and I feel that we need to share the area of the North Ski area between everybody. I get plenty of reports where the ramps are being blocked. My friends cannot take their children over there to fish, and it's pretty upsetting for some of them. You know, they pay the same dues as everybody else. I know you all know that. The bigger issue, I mean, I'm totally.
Sorry, Chuck, can you hear us real quick? We're having difficulty hearing you, and I want to make certain that what you have to say can be heard. So they're going to work on that right now, I believe. So we're probably going to have to come back to you. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
I don't think we're gonna get any sound adjustment in the room tonight. We're gonna try, but if you want to hear them from home, we might just have to, the door's closed now, it's gonna help with the acoustics.
We can hear it back
We
there.
can hear Chuck fine back
We can hear
there.
Chuck fine back there. So you guys are the only ones that aren't hearing, and they just come back here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you, yeah.
Do we have somebody who can work the speakers thing? Okay.
We're trying, we're just not sure if they'll be able to do it for tonight's meeting.
Can we call the people that are here, maybe?
Yes,
Fill out
yes,
the
sir.
form. Maybe the sound is better. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you.
Chuck, we're gonna try to come back to you, we're gonna see if we can do something with the sound. So our first member in the room is Kevin Thayer.
Kevin Thayer, 3868-507. Thanks for putting this together. I think this is a cool way to go about this.
Your microphone? Thank you.
Kevin Thayer, 3868-507. Thanks again, Renee. I've been here for since 2000. I moved here to ride my sit-down hydrofoil in North Lake. And for 10 years, I was one of the top 5 competitive riders in the nation. That's what the best for 10 years. And without the North Lake, I would have never happened. Back then, and the people I ski with, absolutely. And because of that, I have the attitude of gratitude about giving back. And that's kind of how I look at it. My main is ski on the main lake now. Recently I moved over by the tennis courts, and I never realized what amenity, how well that amenity gets used. and I think it's great. And the North Lake is just like the tennis court, except it's a cold water sport, and there's some misinformation, like it's a specific built, like we can't ride by slalom speed or by slalom, hydrofoil, sit down hydrofoil, sorry. We can all make good use of that water, is my point. And we need to share it. It seems like common sense things to me. The ones that generally use it in the morning are slalom skiers. I drive by there, I see them, it's a camaraderie. It's really, really a great thing. My thought would be in the morning, they probably should have priority. In the scheme of things, just so you know, the Canyon Lake is not a great slalom lake. It's too wide, it's too deep, it has no wind protection. I used to belong to a private place in the state of Washington before I moved here. A lake that was 6 feet deep with certain grading on the sides. It was only 2,300 feet long, which is actually a little bit long. It was made for slalom skiing with big trees around it. So generally what happens in the afternoon is the wind affects the sport, and there's just not as much people that want to use it. The sport that is big is wake surfing, which to me is kind of boring. It's not what I do, but I understand that's what people want to do, and we just recently cut that in half. There's no reason that you can't use the front section to wake surf. That's what I like to see. I think the obvious thing would be to let them use it in the morning and then first come, first serve after that. It just seems like a common sense thing to me. Okay, I didn't come prepared to talk, sorry, Bill. That's good enough. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Kevin, you mentioned morning priority. Did you have an idea of what was a fair and reasonable morning time?
Well, I wouldn't have to want to be kind of a fair thing, but I don't know, but that's a good question, Joe. I thought about that for a long time. Seems like a no-brainer. They get it in the morning till, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever, and it's first come, first serve. Depends how this goes. If you guys make it so that, first come, first serve, I think there's a lot of people who get there and just tell the slalom skiers to go anyway. So that's the time. It's like, rarely do I kneeboard. I like to kneeboard. I'm not going to kneeboard unless it's really smooth. And I'm willing to get those conditions. I'll just wait it out. So I don't know, Joe. I think it seems like they die off around 11 o'clock probably, but in the afternoon it should be open for everybody, especially if you're out there using the facility and somebody shows up with a slalom ski, you're supposed to stop because you're not a slalom skier. That's times have changed. Women can vote now. 1920, women can vote. Times change, this is progression. I understand that people are upset about it, but it's what people want to do. I'm talking to you. Another thing I want to address really quick is violence in the North Lake. It's not okay. Recently I had to contact the police after somebody threatened to shoot me. And it's not the only thing that's happened. 3 minutes?
3 minutes is up.
All right, thanks guys.
Kevin, thank you. Appreciate it.
Can we just ask that everybody refrain from their expressions afterwards, because we'll be here longer than we think. It's just, there's a lot of people speaking from both sides, and we don't necessarily need to have applause and other kinds of affirmations or disaffirmations. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, next we have a track lot, no name, 3868384. Okay, that's okay. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. My name is Brian McDowell, and the tracking lot is 3868384. So regarding LM 923, I guess just to get my point out first, which side I'm on. I'm on the side that doesn't support the rule. I don't see why that rule needs to be in place. To put it into kind of two camps, I see two large issues here. One is the fact, is it something that is illegal? Is it something that is unjust and in violation of our rules? So, that's a question I think is being posed in different conversations in different social media circles. So I'd be interested, because I don't know the answer, I'm no attorney, but the question has been posed. And I don't know if you've heard that question before, or if you've had content given to you that puts into question whether the legality of that rule. So I think as a board, and one of the things we should try and achieve is actually an outcome and a resolution to that question. Like, while that question remains a question without some facts behind it to support whether it's true or not, there's always going to be confrontation about it. So I think that's one thing. And then I think the second thing is, does the community want? What does the community need? And I think that's a separate question. So I think there's two different things that it needs to be addressed. In terms of community needs, I hear and I see a lot of stuff about, well, it's always been there. To me, that's not a good enough reason why something should be done. Or it was voted on previously. Again, that's not a reason why it should change in the future. Or, well, it's like the question center or the pickleball courts or the tennis courts. Again, just because it's like that doesn't mean it's the same as. These amenities are very different depending on the discipline you're in. And therefore, I think to do contrasts and compare, and to do apple for apples, you really have to take a deeper dive into the statements that are being made and see if you can draw comparisons. Because sometimes a lot of stuff I read and hear can be debated, can be argued in many different ways if you actually look into it deeper. So I think the subject of some of the statements that I've heard, my view is water sports are changing. One of the things I would like you to consider, we talked about bringing some other ideas. I don't know why we don't rename them here. I think that's an easy thing to do. The fact that we call this the North Skier, I don't understand that anymore. But it's not just skiing that's going on that area. So if we can't even agree on the name of it, you know, at a very basic level, if we can't determine as a community to use that area for more than just skiing, what are we doing? So I think address some of the things that we should be addressing, understand the needs of the community, and come up with solutions that go forward. And again, I'd be happy to talk more now. I only have 3 minutes. I could probably talk for an hour on this subject. I could share my history, how long I've been here. Well, just on that point, sorry, if I have 1 second.
Right.
I'm very conscious of the fact that I think we as a community and you as a board should be supporting a 10 times world champion as well as a 6-year-old that is doing his first time skiing tomorrow. I see no difference. I see no difference in stature, in the weight of your argument, in the vote that you carry. If you're a 6-year-old in a family who's learning to ski for the very first time, or you've been doing this for 30 years and you're a world champion, Canyon Lake wasn't built for the pleasure of those people. We're all members. We all have those uses of it, and that goes for handicapped golfers, or professional golfers, or tennis players. We're here because we want to be equal and have a shared amenities. So when I hear things like that, I don't know why there's type of to give it to that. So anyway, I'm not all the time.
Brian, quick question.
Yes.
You're not in favor of the rule the way it's written? Are you in favor of a compromise?
I'm not in favor of the rule generally. Am I open to compromise? Of course. You know, I think everybody has to be open to compromise. So if the rule was rewritten with other ideas to limit it to a period of time, or certain days of the weeks, or based on how many people are down there, like I'm open to compromise. Like nothing has to be black and white. But the way it's written now, I just can't support that for so many reasons.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Steve Northsouthern?
Hello, can you hear? Track Steve Nersessian is my name, track 3903, lot 2016. Wasn't sure if I wanted to speak here tonight, but I figured it'd just be repetitious. And so far, the first 2 speakers have been awesome. I have been a water skier for many, many years. We've been in Canyon Lake for about 8 or 9 years. So far, it's a great place. We love it. My son is not a water skier. He's a wakeboarder. And we both are wake surfers. So I kind of hit all corners of this thing. And I'm not in favor of the rule the way it's stated right now. I think access to that area is vital to everybody here at Canyon Lake. So compromise, yeah, absolutely. I think what Kevin said earlier, as far as maybe mornings and have it open in the afternoons is obviously an option. I think one other option might be days of the week. You give the skiers say a priority on 1 or 2 days a week, and give people that want to do other things, like surf, wakeboard, priority on 1 or 2 days a week, and you have the other 3 days open. So I think that could be possibly another option. That way, people kind of know what day, they can go down there and do what they want to do. So that might be a great way to do it as well. So I think that's probably it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
John Jacobson?
Good afternoon, Kimberly, POA board. Thank you for putting this together. My name is John Jacobson. Back is 2720-118. I'm also the president of the Canyon Ski Club. This has been a controversial subject for quite a while. We have been trying to work with the Wakeboard Racer Club into coming up with some kind of solution for that area back there. As it stands now, we're getting closer. It's been difficult for me to get everybody together at the same time to talk about work and whatnot. So I'm thinking we're pretty close. We're just not there yet. So that's good. I moved here in Canyon Lake about 2 years ago. I've been coming here for many, many years. I have a lot of friends here. It's a great community. The ski course is there. I feel that it's an amenity, just like tennis, golf, pickleball, whatever. Those who've been here for a while, they know that the big controversy between pickleball and tennis is a big deal. And finally, there was some resolve for that, and it's moved forward. I think the area for the skiers, a lot of them that use it, train for competition, and we need that time to be able to do it. That area is shared immensely. There's people in there that kayak, there's people in there that paddleboard, there's people in there that tube float, there's bass fishermen in there with their boats fishing while we're skiing. In the afternoon, typically, that I see most of the time, we are done about 1 o'clock-ish. The wind typically comes up here in Canyon Lake and starts blowing. There are some exceptional days that it will stay nice all day, but you can only take so many rides when you're done. So most of the time we're finished by then. I think that there can be a compromise with this thing and solution. I really want to see the animosity done. It needs to go away. And I think that, with the board's help and with both clubs together, I think this can happen and everybody can go on with their lives and go do something else. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this thing, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Okay.
And online, people are having trouble with muffled hearing as well. I'm actually having a little bit of trouble because I have some hearing loss. There is a simultaneous captioning of the online, so if anyone needs it, it's pretty good. It's actually doing this right now. So you can actually read along with what you hear or don't hear.
Thank you, Ryan. John, thank you for those comments, appreciate it. And it's encouraging to hear that the clubs are trying to work together and that they're close, and if they can come up with something that's suitable for them, that would be wonderful. That's ultimately what we want to do. We want to come up with something that's palatable for everybody. Okay, Carmen, what else do you have?
Okay, Tegan and Tommy Perry.
Hi, my name is Tina Perry, and my tracking lot is 380 from dash 190. And I think that's really neat to take away all the recording flowers and the backhouse and shelving, and I think it's really neat because then I won't be able to do any of that because I can't really solve or do any like stuff on the mini because it's too choppy for me. So I think it's really neat to do that.
Thank you, young man. That was very nice. I appreciate you taking the challenge to get up here and speak. Very impressive. Does Mom have anything to say?
No.
Craig Brown.
Hello. Craig Brown, 3868-081. Thank you, board, for putting this together. I think this is a good idea, heading in the right direction. My thoughts are, a little bit, I just wanted to shed a little bit extra light on things, hopefully. So just my personal take on it is we're allowing an elite group of individuals exclusive rights to that area. Not just that area, but 2 POA amenities being a jumping moon as well. We're allowing this group to control the area at their own free will when they decide they want to. For instance, if you're out there riding with your family, as soon as this gear drops into that area, you have 2 choices at that point. You can either head to the back, and if it's not crowded, you can ride back in the back, or you can put your boat on the trailer and head home. Why can't we all just sign the same list? And if you want to wake surf, you wake surf. If you want to slalom, you slalom. If you want to kneeboard, kneeboard. If you want to wakeboard, you wakeboard. Use it as your turn comes up. If there's a priority for one group, there should be equal exclusive rights for all other groups. So, if we're going to allow them exclusive rights at any time in the morning, then that same allotted time slot should be allowed for specific other wake sports at other times as well. I know there's been a lot of comparisons to tennis, to pickleball and those things, and those are all relative, so to speak, but none of those other sports are we giving those individuals and groups exclusive rights to those amenities. They're going to play when they're allowed to play, and if there's somebody on the court, they play. If there's somebody not on the court, they go home, or vice versa. But that's all I had. I just wanted you guys to review that a little bit and take that into consideration.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it.
Dan Garkis.
I think that was my name, Jake, J-A-Q-U-S. Okay, cool. Let's see here. 3831165, Dan Jakes. Thank you for letting us talk today. I appreciate your time. I wanted to come at this from a slightly different angle than everybody else. Just doing a quick little bit of research. The total available lake square footage available for water sports. Count the main lake, count the jump lagoon, you count the entirety of the North Ski area. the slalom course, and the backwater, all of it. It's roughly 8.2 million square feet. If you remove the main lake, which has several restrictions to protect the docks and the beaches and things like that, you've removed 5.4 million square feet, roughly, on rounding. That doesn't leave a lot left. Of what's left, the ski club has almost exclusive access to more than 50%. If you include the main lake, they have almost exclusive access to slightly over 21% of it. The jump lagoon is under lock and key. It's severely underutilized. I can see it from my house. I've lived here 8 years. I've seen a jumper on it 8 times, maybe 9. I feel like I've seen the SoCal Ski Club use it to practice more than I've seen a jumper on it. But I have no idea how to access that body of water, and I've lived here 8 years. The North Ski area, with the slalom course, you have access to it, but as already been said, you have to leave as soon as they get there, no matter what. There could be 8 wakeboard boats sharing the entirety of the North Ski area, and 1 slalom skier shows. And now there's 8 boats compressed into the backwater, which is roughly the same size as the front water. If you count the extra area where they've put the no wake buoys, they've pushed not just the slalom course, they've pushed past that because they don't want the rollers from the back coming into the end of the slalom course. So they've taken more area than just is required for the slalom course. They've taken more than that. So when you take the numbers and the actual available square footage for water sports, and then the even more limited available square footage for water sports with wake enhancements, slalom skiers all have their special stuff for their sport-specific stuff. The wakeboarders have it, the skiers have, or the wake surfers have it. I've seen the air chair guys back there using the lake as well. So everybody's looking for the good water as far as possible. And to share that, I think if you look at the split as it is now, it's not equitable. Is that a timer for my time?
Yes.
Would you mind repeating the numbers? I want to make certain I have it down correctly.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
Would
you.
you mind repeating the numbers that you gave us? Of the square
If you
footage
just go
numbers?
on Google Maps
Oh,
and measure everything, if you close and click measure, you can see all the buoys and click the buoys.
okay,
And once you close a polygon, it gives you the area in square feet,
okay,
in square meters. So it's rough, but it's pretty close when you're talking about 8 million square feet.
so,
Okay, excuse me, can I get your first name? I'm sorry.
Dan.
Dan, all right, thank you, Dan. Dan, no, I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask you how you feel about shared use. That's one of the things that we're considering.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Shared use, how do you feel about
I literally can't hear what you're saying.
shared use?
How you feel about shared use with the skiers?
I definitely think to be shared.
I definitely think it should be shared. I think skiers have as much right to use the water as anybody else. I just don't think as much deference is given to the rights of other water sports as currently is given to the ski club. One of the surprising benefits of the pandemic has been I've gotten the opportunity to work from home that I never thought I'd get to do. So occasionally I like to go grab a coffee and drive around. And I drove past, I like to drive that causeway by the ski area, and I'll often see 5, 6, 8 ski boats out there on the dock. Look like they're having a great time, enjoying community and camaraderie of the ski club and a shared interest. And as wakeboarders and wake surfers, we're denied that. We're not allowed the opportunity to use those facilities. The ski pavilion, the dock, even the other area. But the other long dock where they stage when there's lots of them. Previously, we were, it was pretty much made clear we weren't welcome on those docks. And we were relegated to the little tiny dock, which now has the POA patrol boat gated off. So it's a situation where, man, what an amazing experience for them. But as somebody who wakeboards and wakesurs, we don't get that same experience except for a couple times a year at a competition. And the rest of the time, we get to use it when they're not there. And then when they show, we gotta leave.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, we please ask you to just refrain from that kind of support. We're here, we're gonna hear everybody speak, and I'd like to see the next person.
Willie Furtado, sorry, that's not the name.
Yeah, I pass.
Pass.
Okay. Jay Fitzgerald, or Fitzpatrick, I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's Fitzpatrick. You read a great Gatsby in high school. My name is Jake Fitzpatrick. My track is 3720. My lot is 089. And just a couple of points I'd like to remind is the ski club, and I am current secretary for the ski club. The ski club has never had exclusive use of the amenity. It has always been shared. We've had priority use. Yes, that's the role that we're talking about tonight. But that's also true of the jump lagoon too. We've never had exclusive use. If it's difficult to access that, it's not the ski club that's controlling it. It's the association that makes it a little more difficult to get back there. So again, it's not exclusivity, it's priority. Yes, I would like to say we would like to have it all for ourselves. I mean, let's face it, who would like to have all the amenities to themselves? Where we're willing to come up with a compromise that takes into account all the other participants and the use of the water, we certainly are. But then again, the other participants have always had the opportunity to use the backwater. The area back behind the slalom course is about twice the size of the slalom ski area. And we've never claimed to have had that exclusive use. I use it myself for various water sports. So again, there's a significant difference between exclusivity and priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hello?
I'm John Triola, 386314, talking about the track lot. Just like everybody's talking about, like he was saying, nobody ever was talking about exclusive use. It's the priority that really gets to people, because just like Dan was saying, most of the time you don't really get to use the dock. If you want to go to the back, you have to go in the back. Everybody floats in their boats where they could be walking to the docks, using the restroom, and having lunch if it was a shared amenity. But for a lot of the time in the morning, it's really not a shared amenity. So what I would propose is make it a shared amenity, just like somebody had said earlier. If you want to get in line, you get in line, you put your name on that list. And of course, most people aren't going to do it anyway, just like some of the people said, a lot of people don't get up early. You know what I mean? But, on the wakeboard side of it. But there's some of us that do. And there's some of us that wouldn't mind, going in. I don't have anything against any of the clubs. Every time I go by the ski club, I always honk and wave. I don't know any of them, but it doesn't matter because they're all just having a good time. They're just like, like to do. But this is everybody's lake. And whether you're a professional skier, professional wakeboarder, or just like, the little kid over here, starting out. I mean, everybody wants to use the area. And it's a great experience just to watch. When I first moved here, you were able to see the show cow skiers floating around that lake, You'd have friends come by and you say, hey, there are a bunch of people doing the pyramid back there, doing this and doing that. And it's just a real neat thing to see. And pretty much when they were talking about everybody's allowed to use the area in the back, well, that might be true, but in order to get to the back, what you have to do is you have to pull up. If they're making a run, I believe you have to let them finish their run, they come back, they get to make another run, and they come back, meanwhile, you have to wait that whole time. That's a totally different rule, but I think if you get out there, as they run down the water, you should be able to go, because they stop at the end. So when they stop, you just kind of go on by and let the water dissipate, and then you can come back, and that will give, people more time to back. And as everybody said, it's getting more and more crowded in the back. So sometimes there's very few boats in the front, but they're in front. So everybody's in the back, and what's happening is everybody's lining up. Everybody gets their 15-minute turns. So if there's 4 boats back there before your next turn, you get almost an hour wait to come back and ski with them, and wait or serve, do whatever. When at the dock, there's no one there. And if you did have an hour at the dock, you could be making yourself a sandwich over there. You could be sitting there yawning, you could be in shape, you could be just waiting, just like, the rest of the ski club does. I mean, and I really don't blame them at all, just like, I don't know if the secretary had said, every one of us would like to have that lake for ourselves. Every one of us has had the lake for themselves. And the first thing that we say is, we got the water, we tell everybody, look at this, we own this lake. This is our lake, which is true, until the next boat comes on. And when that next boat comes on, you're like, crap, there goes my lake. But the fact of the matter is, it was never my lake in the first place. It's our lake, it's everybody's.
Yes.
And it should be shared. Thank you very much.
No, I'm sorry, Joe Novella? I'm so sorry, if I have that.
How you doing, Joe Knowledge, 3719-382. I just wanted to comment, it seems like the main issue is a priority issue. Maybe the wording needs to be changed where it's not skier priority and it's just whoever is up as priority. It's the way that I feel, whether you're a wake surfer, wakeboarder, skier, whatever you are. If you want to get on the list and wait for your turn, you should be allowed that turn. That's the way I feel. I think it's always been that way. I know a lot of people don't choose to get on the list for reasons that people have already talked about, But, being on the list when it's crowded over there on a Saturday is, you're on the list with 10, 12 boats or whatever, you're waiting hour plus to get your turn. That's your choice to do that. You can also wake up early and go over there and have it all to yourself. You can go in the afternoon, and chances are you may have it all to yourself. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I think it can be worked out to where, the clubs can get together, which it sounds like they already have. I used to ski a lot over at the North Ski area. I haven't been over there for the last couple of years. It seems like things have got a little tense over there, but I think it can be worked out to where, if you don't want to get on the list, go to the back and stay to the back. If you're willing to get on the list and have the competition area, we can call it competition area, to yourself, then that's your choice. Or you can go to the main lake, or you can wait until you have it all yourself. That's just the way it is. The nice thing is, we all should be super happy that we have world-class skiers, world-class wakeboarders, and a world-class facility to enjoy. And I think everyone should try to do that. I also think that the other issue is the wake surfing on the front part. I think that should be allowed. So if that's the only place where it can be done, if they choose to get on the list.
I'm sorry, that's not topic tonight.
Oh, that's not?
It's not topic.
Okay, so it's only priority.
Just priority.
So that's how I feel about priority. I feel that there's a list for priority, and if you're willing to get on that list when your time is up, you should have priority, no matter what your discipline is.
I think we all know that solid skiers need very calm, quiet water. And that is generally there in the morning. You don't feel that they should have any priority in the morning at all for that quiet time.
Well, no, the way that it's always been is like, if you go over there in the morning and there's just 2 boats there, 3 boats there, you just work it out. You don't need a list. There's only a couple of you, you talk, you drive for each other, you do whatever you do. You start getting multiple boats, and you have to have a list. you can't keep track of it, so you put your name on the list, your name comes up, it's your turn. You know, 6 passes for a water skier, 15 minutes for a wakeboarder, a wake surfer, or whatever it is, that should be okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Diana Parker, and this is Leah Brady. And I actually own 3 lots. One of them is 3868, 387. And we've been skiing here for over 30 plus years. I've been on the ski club board. Ian is also on the show ski club, and I'm also in the show ski club and on the ski club board and in the ski club. So we've been skiing a long time. My daughter and I went to regionals, nationals together when she was younger, and now my grandkids ski at the slalom course. And we went to regionals the last 5 years, and then qualified to ski nationals. He's going to regionals and nationals this year. I also did to mini worlds and Pan Ams. So Canyon Lake's very precious to me. I've never thought about being explosive over there. If we pull up with our boat and, you know, Liam's getting ready to take a slalom ride, and somebody's out there wakeboarding or wake surfing, we let them finish, and then as soon as they're done, we'll take our ride. I don't really know if priority is the right word, but it's definitely just like the tennis, the pickleball, it's the slalom area. We need very safe water that's very glassy. We can't have our ride interrupted by somebody going in the middle of the ride. If we do that, he can get hurt. So I understand that waiting a little bit longer is kind of frustrating to go in the back area, but it's only 6 passes. So you just wait and then you go in the back area, and then they have their rules that it's 2 boats at a time. And the same as the jumping, I mean, life isn't fair. We've had the 3 events skiing, the jump, trick, and slalom here. I jump over 100 feet, and we use the jump lagoon. I don't know who doesn't see people using it, but it's used every weekend. And during the week, but he can't just ski in the morning, he has school. So he has to ski in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening, to change it where it's not, we're not able to use it. So I don't think it would be fair. And I want everybody to get along. I think it's ridiculous that this is all going on. It's very sad. I like all the water sports. I mean, I don't see any reason that if there's nobody out there in the afternoon, why can't we do the 2 week? Why can't they do, you know, I don't understand why. But if the slalom skier does pull up, then just have a little bit of respect, because we've had it. I mean, I've been here since 1989. I've lived on the jump lagoon for 16 years. I live on the slalom course. I'm the 4th house on the slalom course. So I mean, I'm very passionate about it, and I think that this lake was built around 3 event skiing. So, you know, maybe we are a little bit special, but that's the way, you know, I don't mean to say that wakeboarding or wake surfing is not, you know, as special as we are, however you want to say it, but that's what this lake was built around. And they don't have worlds and canyons and all that. I say they used to have worlds for the, what do you call it, the sky skiing and stuff like that, but I don't even think they have that anymore. So I mean, it is very special. We have a lot of people who go to our post office, we'll see all the newspapers, magazines with the pictures of all the champions, Ronnie Barton, that team. So I just wanted to say our piece. I want him to be able to see out the school.
Julian, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
We have a name like 3846112 is the tracker mark.
Hi, I'm Dan Birch, 3846-112. I just want to emphasize the value of our amenities in Canyon Lake. I think if I asked for a raise of hands, how many people bought a house here because of an amenity, you get a lot of people raising hands. So it's a serious, amenities are a big deal. If the board deprioritizes any amenity, they would have to consider deprioritizing more amenities. Because you say we did it to them, then what about them? If a special interest group wants to take over that amenity, you may have to consider it, because the same argument goes. I did hear the compromise about getting fair. For me personally, it would not affect me. Honestly, the afternoons are pretty open, so long as there's tend to not be very much after one extension, so they've had that water. But for me, that first time maybe I agree with him, or not been affected by it, it wouldn't bother me personally. I don't know about the rest of the ski club, you know, speaking to me. But I think that we gotta be careful about deprioritizing any amenity, because it could affect other amenities. And the future people wanting to buy a house and spend up to $1 million or more may not feel that it's stable enough. If I'm gonna spend that much money, I want the community to be here. I mean, it's a fair request, it's a lot of money, and I think we all agree on that, I hope, but it is a very serious thing to deprioritize out of that area. Slalom does, as mentioned, needs to pump out the water, and we suggest maybe in the morning put your name on the list and you can all share. The water takes too long to pump down, you will not have slalom to take, you wait 15 minutes between turns just for the water to calm down. The reason they built that causeway was to give us a calm body of water. That was the initial purpose of that water, and people moved here for that purpose. If they were to just, I know you're not saying to open it up and that if you're free for all, you'll have another main lake, you'll never have another calm body of water at all. I think it's actually been working pretty well. I think there are several people that have pushed an agenda to pull the ski club out. That is not really appropriate, because there is water for them as well. Okay, so I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you for your comments, appreciate it.
Pat Rogers.
Hello, Pat Rogers, 3720031. I think our goal is, as I see it, is a harmonious and efficient use of that area. And I've lived here 25 years. I even moved here specifically for the facilities. And I was president 20 years ago of the ski club, so I've been involved. I've seen it ebb and flow quite some time. I believe the wakeboard club and the ski club have worked together for a general framework of sharing the front and the back area of that. And the difference is about the priority that we're discussing now. And generally, let's talk about the efficient use. When slalom boats are going in there, we're very adept at moving one boat after another. We don't have to wait for the wakes to calm down. We can move a lot of boats. And I just looked over Scott's notes, and we've had 474 rides on that slalom course in the last 2 weeks. So it gets used. They get in there and they can be very efficient in getting down. If you put a wakeboard boat in the middle of it, or a surf boat in the middle of it, we have to wait for it to come down. So would that be workable? Sure, but it's going to slow it down. So my thought was the same as Kevin's. Sunrise to noon, you give priority to the ski club. They get in there, sunrise to noon, they get in there and run and knock out a lot of rides. And that's generally, what the water they're looking for. And the rest of the time, then that way, all the other activities, they know, hey, if you and I can show up, I'm not going to be booted out. I have an opportunity to use that water. And I don't speak for the ski club, I'm not on the board, but I think, there's compromise, and I was just mentioning, what's the definition of a good compromise? Well, nobody leaves completely happy. And I think that is a place that, I like the camaraderie, I like the wakeboard boats, I like the servers, all the activities, but it's just the fact the ski club, or the slalom skiers, separate from the ski club, the slalom skiers need a flat, calm water as best they can. If you can't have that, you can't practice the sport. So that would be my suggestion.
So sunrise, 7 days a week. That's, I had another discussion with people, and well, now weekends. Well, that's the only time I can see you on the weekend. I work. So 7 days a week, and the prior there. That way I think we're giving, it's a give and take, and I think that's pretty equitable. And I think that would take away a lot of the animosity and there you have it.
I hope that's true. Thank you very much.
Scott Larson?
Hello, Scott Larson, 3868-459. Short for my discussion a little bit, but I think the one thing that the ski club has had a history of working together with the wakeboard club. I don't know if Dave Clark's doing it or not. When he was president, I was president. We had to work through issues where they lost the water down at Lake Elsinore for their events, and we had to fit and make weekends work. So it's not like we don't have a history of working together to make this work out. I think the priority issue almost works itself out during the day. Like Pat says, from sun up till 1 o'clock usually, it's skiers now. We rarely see other boats in the back at all. And so looking at the numbers, if we just put together a list of skiers over the last 2 weeks since we had our big event, and it was 474 rides. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were the busiest days. So, it's used every single day throughout the week, but all 7 days, you're getting skiers on the course and using it. But I do think there's a compromise. We had an excellent meeting with the wakeboard club, back in February. That didn't work out. I think we're still working on that. But I think there's a willingness to work together. But we want to make sure that we're thinking about everybody within our club that has to work. Only after meetings, different things like that. But there is a path forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don Wade?
I'll pass.
Okay. Aaron Wade?
Good evening. Thank you so much for letting us be here. And I know you had mentioned that you're hearing the same kind of things, and so
I'm sorry, I need your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron Wade, 3868267.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to come really to speak on behalf of my daughter. I myself am not a skier. Our family wakeboards, wake surfs, foil. My daughter is currently, her name is Kendra Nathan. She's currently ranked #1 in the world in slalom skiing U18, and she trains here. So obviously, she can't ski in the mornings, so during school time. So that does become a little bit of a problem, but she'll just have to make that work. I think that working together on a compromise is what's most important. I think that, everybody getting along is really the main goal here. I've lived here for 20 years and served on the board myself for 4 years, so I understand what you're going through and how difficult this can be. I would just like to see everybody kind of work together and compromise. But, and I don't like the word priority either, but it is true. I understand from my daughter that you do have to have calm water. It's very difficult to train, with the rollers. And someone had mentioned previously that this lake isn't great for slalom skiing. I have to disagree. My daughter was just skiing at Robin Lake in Georgia at the Masters, and it's very similar. Like, it's a deep lake, it's a wide lake, it's very similar, so it's actually a wonderful way for her to train here. But the rollers do become an issue. So I just wanted to put in my 2 cents as a non-skier, but a mother of a very active skier, that a compromise would be great. 7 days a week is important because she can't ski in the mornings. During the weekdays, she has school and things, so it is important that, it be 7 days a week, and it's just priority. It does not mean that, if there's no one down there, that this amenity does not belong to the ski club. It belongs to all of the community. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
I can't read the name, but we have track 14973-001. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Vogel, and yes, it's 14973. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and thank you to Gilly Ward for putting this together. So I am the current VP on the Wakeboard Wake Surf Club right now. I'll put that out front. I've been in Canyon Lake for 10 years, and I've enjoyed the backwater in a couple different forms and fashions over the years. I should say that I grew up water skiing. I ran slalom courses when I was younger. My first boat was a ski boat. I transitioned to wakeboarding over the years now. The last couple of years have been wake surfing predominantly. I'm the father of 3 daughters. I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, all of which wakeboarded and learned to wake surf on the North Lake. And I think it's important to sort of bring that out. I've heard some of the comments made about their kids being able to access the water after school, whether they're slalom or whether they're not. I do agree completely with that, and I think that there should be access, and I would call equal access sort of in the afternoons, realizing that there are still many of us that are still working or that have kids that are at school and they want to be able to access that water in the afternoon. I think it's an important point to sort of call out. I think we're hearing some solutions starting to bubble up at this point, right? I think we're hearing that there's some compromise, there's some discussions being made, and I think the board would agree. We're starting to see that middle or common ground bubbling up. So I think weekdays, we're seeing that there's, the mornings probably make a lot of sense. I don't think anybody would disagree with that at this point. I think the weekends, we still have some work maybe to do there, because now you're seeing, the kids that are free on the weekends that maybe don't have school to go and want to be able to access. So is there a process by which, whether it be a sign up or whatever that is, that we sort of work in the other sports in the front half when it comes to weekends and be able to provide more equity, if you will, to the north area to be able to access any water sport back there. I'm very optimistic we have common ground to reach, I'll say that. Both boards are new, so both the ski board and the wake surf, wake sport boards are new. So I'd say there's some good working communication and collaboration taking part at this point. I think in closing, what I would say is that this is a meaningful, valuable meeting to have here tonight. And like I said, I think we can already kind of feel some middle ground bubbling up, and I fully expect we'll be able to reach a consensus. We just work through some of the finite details maybe on weekends and holidays to try to understand how do we resolute and get to equity in the areas that are probably going to be the busier time frames, but it's when our kids, our families want to be able to access that water equitably. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Richard Bellum. Okay. Steve Hogger.
Hi, Steve Hogger, 3719-227. As the CLPOA board members know from my emails, I, along with other Canyon Lake Wakeboard Club members, have been contacting ski club board members over the last years in hopes to come to a resolution of LM 9.28 and LM 9.23. Today, I'm only addressing 9.23. As Wakeboard Club president, I have an obligation not only to my club, but to the rest of the water sports enthusiasts in Canyon Lake. 9.23 states, slalom skiers have priority 24/7, 365 per year. Not only is this unfair, it is extremely biased and favors only the slalom skiers in this community. I would personally like to see priority done away with completely, but I also have sympathy and understand the slalom skiers prefer glass water for their practice to train in their sport. So here's where I had reworked out a resolution with the ski club. Unfortunately, we did not. So, just want to say again, I personally feel that there should be no priority given to any permitted global waste. I personally tried to come to agreement with the ski club on several occasions with no success. We're not asking to remove the course or not allow slalom skiing. I'm asking that we share a common amenity that we all pay to use. For instance, we were in backwater on Sunday. There was myself and 6 other boats at 9:30. There was 2 boats, a up front, 7 in the back. There were 2 skiers rotating every 15 minutes, and all 7 of us had to wait in the back, getting no less than an hour and a half for a turn, when we could have rotated up front if need be, just like if you're at the supermarket using the children line and standing along the line. So, again, I just want to share water. When I ask the skiers to stop at any time, we're just simply asking CLPOA board members to see that it's unfair to make changes and allow equal water rights for the Canyon Lake board, or Canyon Lake. That's it. Not coming to late at 3 o'clock, so I will do it.
Okay, do you want to share the points that you don't agree with?
Well, we were working on Monday through Thursday till 1 o'clock. We came back, or they wanted 7 days a week till 1 o'clock. We came back with Monday through Thursday to noon. And that's where it was headed off. The clubs agreed we need to work with it and figure it out. We just, it seems like it was more important to us than them. They couldn't get the board members involved. Anytime we managed to come up with a solution for that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Steve.
Mayor Morgan.
Hi, Jeanne Woodman, Chalker Lot is 3719336. I've been a resident of Canyon Lake for 11 years, and I'm a board member of the tennis club and a member of the water ski club. I'm concerned as a resident that if the POA board votes to remove priority at the North Ski area to the water skiers, that all of our community amenities will be at risk from being taken away or having to be shared by other clubs, just as Dan Birch mentioned. Kevin, Brian, John, Craig, and Diana all mentioned something about the tennis club, or the tennis courts and pickleball courts. So I would like to elaborate on that, Joe, if you will let me, because it will tie into this.
It relates to the.
It relates, okay?
Sure.
As some of you directors know, and some of you don't know because you are new to Canyon Lake, the tennis club had to fight tooth and nail about 5 years ago to save 2 of our tennis courts from being converted to pickleball courts. Thankfully, after several months of negotiation, we were able to convince the POA directors at that time to come up with a new location for the pickleball courts, rather than taking something away from the existing amenity. The tennis courts are not used all day long. Right now, we have an issue with the skateboarders using the courts. The skateboard community feels completely entitled to using the tennis courts because they are also members of the community who pay their dues. So how is the POA board going to handle it if the skateboard community comes to them after hearing that priority is being taken away from the slalom skiers at the North Ski area? What if I want a mountain bike on the golf cart path when it's not being used? How are you guys going to handle that argument? I could come up with many more examples, but you get the point. You as a POA board need to be very careful about setting a very dangerous precedent. If you take priority away from the water skiers, priority will be in jeopardy of being taken away of all other existing community amenities. And one other thing I wanted to say was 2 speakers, John and Dan, mentioned that as wakeboarders, that they do not have access to the pavilion, the barbecue, or the shade structure, and that is absolutely not true.
Thank you. Now that we're in the back. Sorry.
No comments, please. You got the floor.
Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, I'm Thad Hendon, 3717159. I was a college water skier back in the 80s and 90s. We used to come to Canyon Lake as a guest and ski with a couple of professional skiers that grew up here. And I've always known of Canyon Lake as being a 3-event ski site with a slalom course and a jump, which is an incredible amenity for water skiers. I moved here 2 years ago strictly for that. I've also been involved in shared water use in many other sites, including Lake Nasamiano, some sites up on the Delta, and on Big Bear Lake, where we have very, very similar interests, and we have very similar problems to what is going on right now. And I don't think there are any water skiers out there that would argue with sharing the water, when it makes sense. We all love water sports. I love to teach people to wakeboard. I love to teach people to surf. I love to teach people anything behind the boat because it's what we do. But when you look at the slalom course is a precision instrument. It is something that needs to be perfectly straight all the time. When buoys get knocked out overnight, if the PVC flexes, it can be curved the next day and it can do damage to a very expensive course. So I think as long as there is good education between the groups and people learn driving paths and they learn how to drive and the difference between a bow roller and a stern roller and what they're doing to the water as they're turning around to pick up the skier, I don't think there are any ski club members that would argue with sharing the water with a wakeboarder that wants to take sets in between. So I don't think that's the issue as long as things are done correctly and that there is conversation between the two groups. I think a lot of the problems come from the fact that when someone wants to use the water and they say, oh, well, it's my turn to go, and a wakeboarder takes his set and then gets done at the end and throws a big roller that's going to take 15 minutes to get all the way to the back water, you now destroy the ride for somebody else. So I think that is something that definitely needs to be addressed when we look forward towards figuring out how to share the water.
Yeah, you have any suggestions?
That's a hard one.
Certainly is.
Yeah, and obviously that's why we're all here, because it is a very difficult question. I think that being someone who moved here, obviously I think slalom skiers should have priority because I'm a slalom skier. But I know a lot of other people would disagree with that. But I think it's one of those things that as long as, I don't think slalomers would have an issue with trying to figure out a time of day when the water is rougher, that we could share that space or get people into rotation. But definitely looking at something where maybe the evening, I'm someone who literally, I ski in the morning. No one ever sees us because we're out of the water by 7:30. We're the first boat in every morning. But a lot of times we leave the boat in and we take another set right as the sun's going down when it's smooth. So I think it's something that we just need to look at. If we're going to share the hours in the middle of the day, look at making sure that the people who are sharing the waters and getting on a rotation list understand the rules of how you drive and what you do to make sure that if there's a slalom skier going after you, you're not messing up his ride.
Okay, thank you.
I have one quick question. You mentioned you had this issue at other places you've read. Did you find a solution to it?
So every other body of water that I've been involved with our college ski team was working with the Nasamiano Ski Club back in the 90s, and every single time it has actually come down to even on public bodies of water that they have given exclusivity to the ski club. I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think most of the skiers would probably agree if we were down on the dock and a wakeboarder came up and said, hey, is it okay if I jump in rotation and take a set? As long as it wasn't affecting everybody else, that wouldn't be a problem. Likewise, if we put a slalom skier down there and if it was my rotation and I was driving and I threw a giant roller across the middle of that area that is going to screw up the next skier's ride, I think that skier would be pretty upset. So I think as long as we're recognizing all those rules, I think we can come to an agreement that doesn't mean that we have to not allow wakeboarding. All the other places, it came down to when slalomers were there, slalomers got priority unless they essentially gave up priority and said, yeah, no problem, you can take a turn in the rotation.
Thank you.
Scott Simpson. Okay, Capital Craving.
Hi, Captain Mulcahy, 3868189. We moved here 33 years ago solely for the water sports. Over 33 years, we've done almost everything from barefoot water skiing back there to slalom skiing, trick skiing, And now, 33 years later, we love to wake surf. And so I would love to see some kind of compromise where the skiers, the slalom skiers get the mornings till 12 or 1 o'clock because they do need good water. But what happens on the, and on the weekends, I would like to see a shared day. So maybe Sundays, everybody jumps into the rotation because, some people can only be there on the weekends. But what happens with, the priority thing is there would be just one slalom skier and it pushes everybody to the back. And there'll be, 6, 7, 8 people back there trying to share the water, a little tiny piece of water. And in wake surfing, that's literally the only place we can go. We have no other place to go. So, I really am in favor of just of sharing, exclusivity for the slalom course in the mornings, and then opening it up to some kind of rotation, and then maybe just share a weekend day. I'd also like to address quickly the towers, because I think they can be stowed away when they're not being used. I think they're only used a couple times a year, and I don't think they're required for the types of competitions that the slalom course is holding. They're holding C and F events, and they're optional, they're not required. So what those towers do is I think they impede the traffic flow for the wakeboarders and the foilers and anybody else trying to go around and actually not bother that ski course, because we don't want to ruin that ski course, that's an amenity. So I think if the towers were stowed, that we could, it would allow more room for the other sports in the afternoons, if that's what you guys choose to do. But I would love to see some kind of shared priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Towers are there for safety, I mean.
Joe Burrows.
Joe Perez, 3868-176, also 641 and 642. I've been here at Canada Lake now for 18 years, since 2003. Prior to that, as a member of the Long Beach State Water Ski team, we used to come out here a lot, this was in the mid-80s, used to come out here a lot, specifically to use the jump area and also the slalom course as well too. So this has been a big foray for me, one of my introductions, if you will, to the sport of the water skiing. I have to admit that when I first got here and first started coming around, we got enamored by the caliber of the water skiers and also the boat drivers and the judges. That you were always a little bit intimidated by what was going on. But over time, they welcomed me with open arms. I learned a lot from them to where today I'm a senior level judge and scoring official internationally to judge some events for the American Water Ski Association. So we have a lot of obviously prominent people here that you probably heard about and heard from, with respect to the area of water skiing. I heard a lot of comments about compromise. I'd like to think as well too that there's going to be an opportunity for compromise. I am unfortunately a weekend resident, which means to me the weekends are kind of precious. So I have a hard time personally giving up those weekend rides. And it was part of that 470 ride number that Scott Larson brought up. I think too that the comments that have been made with respect to people learning to use the amenity better, more efficiently. The last Saturday, I think we had 12 boats lined up, taking turns on the slalom course, and that ends up being a good hour and a half session between boat rotations to get it right. And at that same point in time, there were a handful of boats out in the backwater, enjoying the surfing and the wakeboarding as well too. But I think with respect to utilization of the area, one of the gentlemen behind me, I think Thad, mentioned that it would be better too if we could all agree not only on a time utilization, but how to appropriately utilize the area. And be careful with how you drive and not throw rollers in particular ways that end up kind of mucking up the water and extending that time frame. At the end of the day, you know, that's the big thing here is the time frame between rides and getting as many boat rotations in as possible. Over the years, you know, it's been a little difficult to talk to people a little bit about how to drive and what they should do. And again, we've got some senior level drivers in here, international level drivers that can tell people and help teach people how to do this program. I think that's about it. I do believe personally that the Salon Group does need a little bit of priority out there. I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I'd like to think that there is a level of compromise in it. Ideas, I'm not sure about how much else to offer that hasn't been already discussed. Let's protect the amenity as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Holly Birdsall?
Hi, I'm Holly Birdsall, PA 68570, and I just want to briefly speak to the fact that this golf course is such a special area that Canyon Lake is so blessed to have, and I think that's being really overlooked. Now we have a great main link that we have this area where I myself have moved to the lake not once but twice. I moved in 1998 to ski. I moved out, and I just bought a house last year again because I was fortunate enough to have a friend that was taking me skiing, and I got the passion back. So I'm here, well, to play tennis and to ski. I feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about compromise, and I think that's great. I guess I do want to point out that I think the ski club has really made an effort to do that. In truth, I personally think that the ski course is for skiing, and that's the way it should be. I feel like in the back area, 2 wakeboarders at a time can go, and only 1 skier out front. So now we're talking about wakeboarders going up front, so 3 wakeboarders and 0 skiers. But I can understand that there is a need. There's a climate right now of anger and people wanting this area that will require a compromise. I've heard different numbers thrown out, whether it's 10 a.m., noon, 1. 10 a.m. does not work. That doesn't give enough people a chance to ski. I know we got done at 1 o'clock today, so I personally would like 1 o'clock. I also work. I can't do Monday through Thursday until 10 a.m. So Saturdays and Sundays are going to be prime days for everyone. I think that if there's no ski boats out there, sure, have the wakeboards come out. If the towers need to be removed, I've heard several people say that that can be done. So I guess I'm just hoping that the board will recognize that the ski club is willing to work with the wakeboard club. But that really we do need the course and we need the conditions where there's not those rollers. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Janet Morford?
Oh, okay. Not as kind of late. Okay. Hi, 363-173.
And your name, please?
Janet Marquardt, whatever you want to say. Well, I've been listening to all of this, and I totally understand what the skiers are doing. So we moved here from Orange County 35 years ago with our 3 children because we love the water ski. So, and my sons were competition water skiers, so was my husband, and I went to some, it was great. Well, they got a little bored, you know, and it's kind of like, well, we wanted to transition into wakeboarding. So, they all did. My daughter became a pro wakeboarder, traveled the world, lived here. She was so harassed here by the water ski club. I'm just saying, if she wanted to move to Florida, I'd go to Florida. But anyway, we worked it out. She did move out of the community, as did a lot of pro wakeboarders at that time. I don't think we have one pro wakeboarder here anymore because of the harassment we got from the ski club. And, you know, we were water skiers, we didn't understand it. We weren't rich, we didn't have a lot of money or, you know, fancy boats or anything. But I think what I'm getting to is that the water ski club has always felt that they're like, oh, we got priority in this and that. They got the jump lagoon. I talked to my daughter Melissa a little while ago on the phone, and she says, why don't they go over the jump lagoon? That's, you know, they can put a ski course up there. And I started, I know I'm all scattered, but I started thinking, how many water skiers are there compared to wakeboarders, wake surfers, all the new generations moving in to kind of like wanting to have fun and enjoy hanging out. Do you guys know the numbers of how many water skiers there are compared to the others? Do you know that?
I can
It's
tell you.
a small group compared to everybody else. So I just think that's something to look into. And I'm just so tired of the intimidation that we've always had, you know, like I said, all the wakeboarders, pretty much, the pro wakeboarders have moved on out of here because they couldn't take it anymore. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there. And I understand the ski course is like, oh, they have to have no waves and all that. And so do wakeboarders, so do wake surfers. So I think it's just the whole thing should be shared, and we all pay the same amount of POA dues to live there. So that should be considered. But look into what the numbers are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Scott Walter?
Uh, 3868, 242. Your name, please? Scott Oliver. I moved here 32 years ago. I was part of the Long Beach Ski Club when Big Al was here, and came exclusively for the slalom skiing. It's part of the ski course, and my proposal is that the slalom skier is established as a priority 7 days a week. Allowing boats with larger breaks between the skiers, as some people propose, is dangerous for water skiers. Part of your responsibility is to provide for protection and safety of all of our amenities and our members. Eliminating that priority for slalom skiers is the first decision for the board to begin allowing dirt bikes to have the ability to use the equestrian center to ride. Would you include that? Or mountain bikers to use the golf course? Some people can make an argument that, well, there's more wakeboarders than water skiers, so that should be the reason. In our community, there's a lot more crossriders than mountain bikers, certainly. We certainly wouldn't vote the golf course and allow them to use the sand traps for that. Are you going to vote the tennis club's rights to use the tennis court, or allow the skateboarders to push the tennis players to share those courts now too? I think of course not. The board should be firm, fair, and consistent. The wake surfer advocates have stated that they have no other place to go. The wake surfers already have the back area and can share with multiple boats. The wakeboarders can use the main lake to wakeboard. The slalom skiers have no other place to go, period. The wake surfers, in fact, can use those chunk lagoons, much against what some of them have suggested. All they gotta do is go to the key, go to the POA and get a key. That's it. They can do that. For clarity,
there has never been exclusivity in the salon area, now or ever. However, there is only one area for salon skiers, and that's it. I propose the salon course be used for salon skiing as a priority, and revoking this as a priority isn't consistent with past practices in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. You mentioned priority 7 days.
Priority 7 days. Which, you know, they
Was there
don't
a
say.
time involved? Or was it time involved, or are you just talking about all day?
It's the only place they can ski. Wakeboarders can wakeboard on the main lake. They can go to the jump lagoon. They can go to the back area and multiple boats can run at the same time. And they've commented about how they have to wait in the line. Slalom skiers have to wait in the line. It's dangerous when you cross the lake at 70 miles an hour when you accelerate and there's a roller from another boat. That's not consistent with protecting our members.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
John Mitchell?
Hi, John Mitchell, 3868 Lot 5. I've been sitting here listening, I'm just kind of a common member. I'm not a big wakeboarder, I'm not a big skier. I'm not one amenity user heavy over any other. I love to use them all. And what I'm hearing tonight is the clubs are trying to get priority, which is fine, but where does that leave the common? Do we not get to use the backwater at all, but only at certain times? You know, I think priority is a pretty strong word. I don't think any club should have priority 7 days a week, 7, 8, 9 hours a day. Just because somebody works, everybody works. I don't think moving here for a certain reason should give them priority because they moved here. They can move somewhere else. You know, they say they can't. Slalom skiers can't ski somewhere else. Go somewhere where, I mean, not everybody's going to get everything they want. So I do believe you guys have a tough question ahead of you to try to get the priorities evenly distributed. I know Chuck Marino called in earlier and had issues with fishermen out there, or you know, maybe a kayaker or a paddleboarder or whatever. So I think somehow it's got to be, you know, maybe 2 days a week for slalom skiers. Out of 474 rides, I'd like to know how many skiers there were. Was it 100 and we each got 4? Or was it 4 and we each got 100? You know, how many people are actually using that? You know, out of 11,000 members or 4,800 lots, you know, if you use it, it's a tough problem for you guys, but I think it does need to be a shared priority. I think Canyon Lake is exclusive. It's not, the clubs are not exclusive, you know.
John, if I could just clarify something for you. Any rule that we make is not specific to a club, it's specific to the community and the members in the community. So if there's a rule that's going to be made, it's not to protect the club. The rule presently says slalom skiers have priority on the slalom course. It doesn't say the ski club. Slalom skiers.
That's what
and I want to clarify that.
Right, well, I understand that, but slalom skiers, they're not even a club, it's a couple of skiers. Or I don't know how many slalom skiers, you know, I don't know. But to give them 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week of the prime water, I mean, first time I went wakeboarding, I was 50 years old, I did it on the main lake. I tell you, I would love to be out in the backwater with my junky old sport boat in calm water that compared to the main lake in the afternoon on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
So that's it. Good luck.
Thank you. We need it.
Linda Sprawl.
I apologize because I have not prepared anything for tonight. My name is Linda Stroud. I'm 3778206. But I will say that this is a very emotional issue for me. I've been here, I bought my house in 1986. I started skiing on small floors here in 1981. It has been my life, like many of the skiers here. This is why we are here. This is what we do. And for this discussion to be happening, to take away this amenity from the users is just, you can see, I will get emotional. So, I'm not sure what else I can say. This is heartbreaking to me that this discussion is even happening. And so, I just have nothing more to say.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Billy Spencer.
How many more are you at?
We have Billy Spencer in person, and then one after him, and then one other one.
So total of
3 total.
3 total? Okay.
Well, congratulations, board. Thank you for serving, including your families. I know it's not tough. It is tough.
Let me get your name.
William Spencer, 3719-221. I go back. So I came here today. I've spoken before online. It's nice to see you guys all in person. I'm here today to represent everyone, and that's what I hope you guys do. I've heard people say tonight, this is an amenity. Yes, it is an amenity. It's a body of water with some buoys on it to create a course. I'll use my analogy is baseball. When we're done with the baseball field, we have to pack things up, put it away, and we're going to use it again to put it back. This is unique in itself because it's in water. I'm sure there's lots of things you got to connect to buoys. I hear people propose a curfew or a cutoff time at 10 a.m. That sounds pretty darn fair. I think what's important is I come from skiing, I come from e-boarding, I come from wakeboarding. I haven't had a chance to wake surf because a lot of this stuff that's going on. I have friends on both sides. You might not have them after this today. But I think it's important to share. Just like I teach my kids to share, you gotta share. Let's establish a time to cut it off and let somebody else use it if the kids can't share. So if there's 2 boats out there, one's a slalom and one's a wakeboard, let them make the pass, let the water calm down, let the next boat go. It's real simple. Water smooths out here. I just passed the causeway right now. There's one boat out there, and it wasn't a slalom skier. It's a wakeboard boat. And it's a guy that goes out there all the time. And he'd be breaking the rule right now if he started from the top, wouldn't he?
No. We're not using it in.
That's the way it should be, right? That's the way it should be.
It's when a skier is present.
I'm sorry?
It's when a skier is present.
When the slalom skier is present.
Right.
A wakeboarder cannot do it, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, that's not sharing. It's not. So at the very least, I'm asking for a cutoff. So the water, the body water can share.
Great.
All right, so
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Stacy Moore.
Stacy Moore. I apologize, I have not heard what anybody has said, because I've been at a dance recital.
So if I'm redundant in any way, I apologize.
I will tell you.
For many months. I am the president of SoCal Skiers. I've been a resident for 14 years. I am an avid water sports enthusiast. I slalom ski, I swivel ski, I wakeboard, I wake surf, I kneeboard. We do it all in my family. But show skiing, by the nature of show skiing, is all inclusive. And maybe my train of thought is much different than others. But I grew up including everybody. When it comes to the ski show, I asked the ski club to participate. I asked the wakeboard club to participate. The hardest thing in Canyon Lake is the device mess that has happened over the years. I used to be full of optimism of how well everybody could get along, and I thought I'd be a part of it. And I feel like that has crumbled over the last 4 years. And at this point, I have made the recommendation, which makes me sometimes sad to think about, but I feel like it's the only way to get rid of the animosity, is to perform the first come, first served basis. Over the years, I've been harassed. I've been called from somebody's home down to the dock watching me ski, telling me to get off the water. And these are not just the wide variety of people. These are current ski club board members. I've never said that publicly. I've been yelled at in the jump lagoon for having time that I put forward through the POA. It becomes very emotional. And then it's by ski club board members. I've never been through as much as I've been through in this environment for all the years I've skied. And I'm sorry to be emotional about it, but I have personally had enough. The wakeboard club and the ski club have tried to compromise and have tried to come to agreements. That has not happened. I am truly looking to you for help. I'm thankful that you guys have opened up this forum for us to talk. I'm embarrassed to talk about this stuff because these are some of my friends, but some of them are not. But I personally am done. When it comes to trying to make things better, we need somebody else to get involved. The only thing that I'm requesting is that we continue, if there's any continuation of priority of the slalom skiers having priority, is that you allow the rest of us to do the same. I have more extreme measures of solutions. I've emailed you guys prior to this, but if you want to hear the full scope of bigger solutions, we could move the slalom course to the far backwater. It's in the most trafficky area of the entire North Lake. I've also requested and made recommendations last year to enhance the jump lagoon and put the jump and the slalom course over in the jump lagoon, put a parking lot over there and invest the time and money. But I'll be honest, I don't know if it's worth it. But I am thankful that you guys have done what you've done tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Rob Stack, 3869066. Been here over 30 years, own multiple properties in here. And I use that water so much, it used to be called the stack water, it's not the backwater. So I'd like to think I'm friends with everyone in here. I've seen a lot, I've seen Marquette, I've seen Scott, be a great skier, I've seen a lot of things. I think a lot of us know why you're here tonight. I look around, I don't really see, but I think we all know the elephant in the room. And a lot of people talk about, you can't take this away from you, you can't take this away. Well, I don't know if I can ask this question. The skiers are saying you can do anything you want up there if I'm not skiing. Is that true? Any type of water sport?
Well, currently there's no wake surfing.
Okay.
In that area. Currently. That's
right. And you're saying as a board, you guys do not enhance the club. You know what I mean? You're saying that you don't support the club in that. But
the rules that we make
are not directed at the clubs. The rules are for the sport.
Okay, what I'm confused on is that along with various other rules to the, like that's the guy that did it, but he's not here. I think we all, once again, know what we're talking about. And the reason we're probably all here tonight is, how did that happen? How can I not do that now? Everyone's worried it's gonna get taken away from them. It got taken away from me after 30 years. I've been pulled by Huge Al, Big Al, Jerry Trapp, all these people that these people all know, and I did that 30 years ago. One day, someone told me, you can't do that up here anymore.
You're referring to wake surfing?
Yes. How did that happen?
It's not a topic for tonight.
Okay, so if it's for everything.
Previous board made that decision, and based on the information they had.
I am truly thankful that you guys are holding this meeting, just like she stated, because that could have been a guy that didn't like pickleball. That could have been a guy that wanted motorcycles in here, and that would have happened. So I'm really glad you guys are holding this meeting out and open. It's gonna make a lot of people upset, it's gonna make other people happy. I know you have a tough decision, but they're not really leaving much of a choice other than get rid of the priority, because too much has been taken away already. I tied up to that dog for 30 years. All of a sudden, someone wanted to put a patrol back there to make sure wakeboarders and wake surfers aren't up on the front porch. So they took the dock that we all use to do that. It just got out of control, like she said. It's awful, terrible. I try and work with people, but it's a bump. So I really think that they don't accept it. They need to learn to share now. Basically, what it boils down to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amelia Horton.
Hello, I'm Amelia Gordon, my lot number is 3716317. I'm really new to the community, just come here like 2 months ago. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about water ski, and that's definitely one of the reasons why we moved over here. I'm a competitive freedom water skier. When we came to look at houses, everyone always told me that there's a long door, there's a lake. And when I walked in and I saw it, I was like, okay, well, that's the reason why we bought a house. And talk about the priorities. So I am a freedom water skier, so I jump, trick, and slalom. And I understand that slalom course is only slalom, and I do think it's the only way to learn slalom. I'm not going to do my trick ski middle of the business Saturday morning, and I don't know if taking a trick ride kind of similar to other issues. I'm going to do my slalom ski, and I'm going to trick somewhere else. I don't think I'm main night or backwater system. I do think we can find a compromise that we can compromise with the hours like we talked before. Especially morning time is the time for slalom boards, it's dangerous, it's rolling, windy, and if there's other ways. Especially for myself, I have like a million injuries, and you got forward, will kick me out of beyond a certain event. So it's something that we consider every time when slalom, we want to make sure it's safe, and we take all those precautions.
Thank you.
Last year, Frank Romano.
Hello, everyone. It's Frank Romano. Need my tracking? So it is 3716214. My question, or let me give you a little bit of my background. So I deal with union contracts. I've been a union member for 10 plus years, and now I'm on the company side. So I get on the negotiation teams. I deal with grievances all the time. I think we have to look at this objectively, and that is, what is the amenity? The amenity, from my understanding, is the backwater, the lake itself, not the slalom course, right? So we have to think about that and how it sets precedents regarding other rules. So I'm a soccer dad, right? Can I set up goals on a flat piece of grass at one of the parks, stake them down, and now I would like to ask you guys for prioritization on this soccer field, because we don't have one. And I'd like to build one for myself, right? Because my kids play soccer, and we can't play on, a hill, we need nice flat grass, right? So I think unbiasedly looking at it, you have to go by, is this law enforcement POAs or not? It's the lake, right? And you have to give that portion of the amenity, which is the lake, to everyone equally, right? So what is the solution? Now I'm on the company side, so I'm a supervisor at my current job, right? So I view myself as you guys up there, right? And what it looks like to me is trying to get around actually fixing it where it needs to. The people that actually will hold the best interest for both sides, which is wakeboarders versus skiers, right? So I think the solution is not you guys. I think we should have the ski club and the wakeboarding club. If you have to mediate, which we deal with all the time with grievances and all of that, you mediate those two groups because they have the best interest for everyone, not for themselves, but for everyone that is a wakeboarder and everyone that is a skier. You get those two groups together to create the rules, to create the times, whatever it may be. But those guys have the best interest for everyone that for both sports. Then, with you guys mediating it, put up a sign at the thing, and this is the agreement of what needs to happen on this back line, right? And we can put a time span on that, on those rules. Like every year we review the rules. We sit down together and say, hey, what are the pros? What are the cons? We deal with safety issues all the time in my work, right? There is safety issues. The skiers bring up good points that they need flat water, right? But it's not you guys to decide, right? It's them to figure out, hey, we're going to share this because the lake is the amenities. We share the amenities here. We all pay the same prices for all amenities. Let them figure it out. You guys help out by mediating that conference and post the rules. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other comments?
No, we're done. Okay. Well, we got an awful lot of good ideas. We got an awful lot of comments. We had right on schedule too. We had 2 hours allocated for the meeting. I hope everyone got to say what they wanted to say. I hope the board heard everything we need to hear. Not that we're going to make a decision tonight. We're going to take everything into consideration, especially what the last gentleman said. I think we've been trying to work with the ski club and the wakeboard club. Tim's been working very diligently with them. And it was encouraging to hear that they're close, they're just not together. And maybe that is the direction we take, but I'm not making any statements to that effect now. We have to meet together as a board, discuss our direction, and try to understand everything that was said tonight. I made a lot of notes. We will have the video that was referred to. And with that, I'm going to ask the board if they have any closing comments. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I like all the input from all sides. Can't make an honest decision unless we have that, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay.
I echo the same with thanking everyone for being here. The purpose of this workshop and calling this workshop is, for me personally, I know I know nothing about either sport. I'm on a pontoon. And none of this here, to the best of my knowledge, ski or wakeboard. I think Brian's son tried it once recently, but that's it. And my goal with this truly is to hope that the ski club and the wakeboarding club can come to a mutual agreement. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, they are in the best position to do that. And hopefully that can be worked out versus leaving it to us to try to figure out what is fair and equitable for all members. So I hope that that agreement can be reached. Otherwise, it's going to be up to us to figure it out. And clearly, I think you guys could both do a better job than all of us combined. So I hope that you continue with those efforts. And thank you again for everyone being here. Also, continue to please email the board. We love those emails. So any statistics that you brought up, please provide those in email for me. At least that's very helpful when it comes to numbers. And any other suggestions, recommendations would be greatly helpful in this process. So thank you.
Brian?
A few things tonight. First of all, I know a little bit more than Renee, but I was thinking of dropping my pontoon in there and cruising through. We all can. So, but I think that tonight's purpose, or rather tonight we met our purpose, which was to hear your concerns specific to a topic. And frankly, if you notice, the board didn't get terribly involved. I know some people think, well, we should be talking to the board, should be. We are here to listen, and we heard. We've also gotten things in writing. And I think tonight is very positive. I think it's indicative of our board that we're here to listen and take in, but we also have to make tough decisions. And I really commend our board entirety, and in particular our president, and those who frankly brought this forward as an idea to have this meeting. Because this meeting doesn't occur in a lot of places. And so I think it's very, I think it's an incredibly positive step. Obviously, a lot of things have happened over the year, and we're moving in a right direction. Where we're not moving in a great direction is the following. Your emotions and feelings, I understand and appreciate. I will not understand and appreciate anyone who takes a personal attack of somebody, whether it's in this room or to this board. Okay? That will not be acceptable, and frankly, there are situations where it can be beyond simply rude or disrespectful, and it outright is not acceptable. And no person on this board decided to do anything. This board decided to have this event tonight. And for that matter, it is, we're here for you, but we're also here for ourselves. And in the end, you know, it hasn't happened to me, and it will tonight, and I feel very sad for those who feel that way, that they have to take this into a personal level, but that is not acceptable. And that's what I will leave with, and I actually leave with this. Someone mentioned tonight that compromise, and they didn't use the exact term, but they basically said, well, it's a lose-lose, both parties have to lose something. Compromise is a win-win. When you have a solution that's done amicably to resolve a problem, it's much better than anything else. And at the end of the day, what I did hear really positive here was one person, maybe more, said this is our lake, this is our community. We've said it throughout this whole year. So Renee doesn't use it, and I may, actually I don't think I've literally ever said during the wonderful event with our kids to learn to board or whatever. We've never been on there. We can still use it, we can enjoy it as much as those who don't do this or don't do that, plays baseball or tennis or whatever. In any event, I probably went a little longer than I thought I would. I just want to tell you that this kind of thing is the positive thing that we can do as a community, work together. But there were those few, and it's always a few, that make this into something personal. And as my wife, originally said, never run for the board, and, that whole thing. And it's true, by the way. People thought it was just something I came up with. No, it's true. This year she said you have to run. And this year I did, and I'm really appreciative that I'm here. I'm really appreciative of this board that we have today. And frankly, no person should ever feel fearful of what they say or what they do. We've all moved this community together, and we're going to be here a long time, together, and we need to work together to solve problems.
I just want you to know, we don't have a 3-minute time limit on the board. No, that was fun. That was fun. Jim, your comments?
I'll shorten my comment. The positive thing I saw tonight is that the wakeboard and the ski club are actually close. I think we as board members, I would say that if you want any one of us, I think 2 of us could come to your negotiation and help if necessary. But I can tell you as a board member, the most important thing is that recommendations that we get are important, because we're not sitting up here one way or the other. We try to listen and make it whatever is amenity for all, and I just hope that the ski club and the wakeboard club can come up with a solution that's very quickly, and we'll act on it very quickly, that I can promise you. Thank you.
Okay, well, again, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up, sharing your ideas and your thoughts. It was very helpful. We've still got time to have a good evening, the rest of the evening, so I wish you all that. And I will call for a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor? Meeting's adjourned.